we share the pre-recording. Well,
Jesus.
where we share the bit that gets cut off. I don't like that. I actually don't like being involved.
I came up with a very, very good joke for that is remaining firmly in my head.
Aw, that's a shame.
Hey, let's
Tell me when we were not recording.
Okay, let's do a video game special.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
So there were actually quite a few to pick from. I think.
Resident Evil, I think, was a front runner. No, also ran.
Yeah, it should have probably done that because that would make a lot more sense.
Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, oh well, it doesn't matter. So we've got The Last of Us,
Is
and we got Halo.
Yep.
Oh boy. Okay, the long-awaited series, the one that Steven Spielberg was attached to and looked like he might direct the movie and then the show. And I think it is actually Amblin who produced it, isn't it? He is credited as an executive producer. Is old Spielbo.
On Halo.
Yes. We're doing Halo because let's just get it out of the fucking way.
Well, no, I just wanted to make sure.
All right. So. Oh, it's real bad. It's really bad.
So you play Halo?
I don't play.
Have
I
played Halo.
have played. I have played through Halos 1, 2, 3, and ODST. Those are the Halos that I have played through. And
Right. I've played some multiplayer Halo, and that's it.
what was the thing that came out a year or two ago? Infinite. That was the big one that came out a little while ago, wasn't it? That is the. It does have a single player, doesn't it? But it's like. It's
Not a
a
clue.
multiplayer thing, right? So I do have the Halo Master Chief Collection. I have fond memories of playing, particularly Halo 2, and Halo 1. I think the first Halo was like the first FPS I played on PC, and I was so new to PC gaming that I rebound the arrow keys from WASD.
That's sacrilege.
Well, you know, it kind of worked somehow. But yeah, like I don't know what this show is like. I really, really dislike, and I think this was something that should have been learnt from the Sylvester Stallone Judge Dredd movie. Is if you've got a character with a bucket on his head and he's not supposed to take the bucket off his head, don't take the fucking bucket off his head.
Whoa, calm down. Someone might Mandalorian at you. But yeah, because not knowing anything about Halo, I would have assumed, right, that because it's all set in like space and on different planets and stuff, that it's probably quite important that he keeps the helmet on for, like, you know, breathing.
Yep.
And he does keep talking about how, like, oh, my life support and like all my diagnostics and stuff are in this helmet. So like, if I take it off, I'll die. And then he takes it off and leaves it off. And
And it's just sort of fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I know we say quite often that, like, we quite like just being dropped in a world and then watching all of the inhabitants be brutally murdered. But I would have liked a bit more scene setting.
Well, I suppose so. You're not overly familiar with Halo. You've played, like you said, you've played.
I've played some
multiplayer.
multiplayer. Yeah,
And that's
I
it.
have no idea what's going on.
Okay, well that's good because I know a little bit about Halo, and I've got even less of a fucking clue as to what's going on in this show.
Cool. So are Spartans bad?
No, that's the
Right.
Spartans is Master Chief. That's who you're supposed to be playing. You're like this genetically engineered, like, super soldier guy.
Yeah, but this implies that they are bad because the people on the planet that they come to, one, they're a bit late, and two, they all don't like them until, like, they sort of save them, but not really, because there's one survivor who it feels is important in some way, but probably mostly just to give us like a reason to give a shit.
Yes. Didn't work.
Nope. It did not.
Okay, so the aliens who first attack right at the start is the group known as the Covenant, and they're like, well, I guess they're just sort
Vikings.
they're just they're like there's aliens who just aren't particularly friendly to the humans. Basically, I have an understanding of Halo. It's not. It's basically aliens bad, but you do end up working with someone called the Arbiter, who was a Covenant elite, which is the big guys in Halo 3. Actually, no, you start playing as the Arbiter in Halo 2, don't you? But like, yeah, I can't get beyond how the costuming and the CGI just don't look. You know how we were talking about the Uncanny Valley. I 100% had that with the fact that they're like most like sort of CGI rendered for the most part. They just look really fucking odd.
It doesn't really look like they interact with the environment.
No, they look, they look like they've literally been just dumped on top of it, don't they? So, and this is the other thing, is that you just don't need to do that first person shot, the first person stuff, because
you do, because otherwise you can't in a thumbnail put the like, here is the video game HUD. Look, we've used it again.
This is the thing, is that you're just reminding me that your graphics don't look as good as the game's graphics, and it completely takes me out of the fact that like of the story, because I don't need to see the heads up of it. I think there probably is a decent story that you could do with Halo. I don't think this one's it.
So that's the thing. I think what the first person camera does in the way that it takes you out of it is remind you that it's a video game based show, but it also makes you feel like you're meant to be playing. It forces you to take that character's point of view. It doesn't let you watch from the outside and like decide which team you're rooting for, because it is forcing you to go like, here's the main character. I mean, obviously, they've called him Master Chief, therefore like he's probably the big guy, top dog,
top banana.
Yeah. And I think, while I know that like the Halo outfit is like iconic in that like it's always looked like that, I feel like it looked like that on the original Xbox for a reason, and that was
polygons,
big flat surfaces, less polys. So they could have, I feel like, made some effort to like make it look more functional.
I don't necessarily have an issue with like the actual design of it. I just don't think it looks real. Like, it completely looks separate to the rest of the...
Yeah, that's sort of what I mean, in that it doesn't look like it fits. I think it's partly like, maybe it is pure just the trick photography. But it's also maybe, I think that the aesthetics just dated of how Master Chief looks.
When you consider that this Halo TV show has been talked about for, I don't know, it's been in the works for years. There's been rumours about, a Halo movie or a Halo TV show. It's been ongoing for ages, and it looks like it's just
should have gone on for a few more years.
It just looks like it's not developed since they originally started talking about it. It's like the whole sort of massive TV revolution that we've had just didn't happen. It's like it was made in 2006.
Yeah, I mean, also there is a very big chance that this isn't for us.
There is that.
Like, this is for people who like Halo, not people who, like yourself, dabble, and people like me who are just like, was on PlayStation though. Because I think maybe that's what it. I mean, we'll come on to it in a sec, but I don't think that's really what it takes to make a good show. But I don't know what they could change that would make me like enjoy this show.
No.
Maybe everything. But I'm like, it's also very. It's very much like The Mandalorian.
It's not as good as The Mandalorian.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. It's like a poor man's Mandalorian. Because it's, I've gone to a planet, tasked with doing this one thing. I have left the planet with a young person who's now in my care, that I meant to. Mandalorian has to hand it over to be killed. Spartans asked to kill, and they make a different choice, and then they become like a bit of an outlaw. If you sum it up to like its bare bones, it's that, but one of them's bad. And what's her face is no Grogu.
Yeah.
She can't do the Force. She can't even pull a cable out.
She can't force me to enjoy this show. Yeah, I mean, but this is, and we'll come back to this now that, you know, Last of Us is probably better than this. But if I want to experience Halo, I feel like the best way to do that is for me to go and play the game. That's like, when I think of Halo, like when you, like with the Spartans jumping, the fact that they jump like in that such ridiculous sort of floaty way. But I know how that it looks ridiculous on the TV show, but I know how that feels in the game, and actually I don't mind that quite so much. But yeah,
is it one of those things that makes sense for game logic but doesn't make sense for a show?
I think so. I think that's entirely what it is. And actually, this is, I think, the inverse to The Last of Us, is that Halo's strengths actually for me is in like the world, and that's, you know, take it or leave it, but the actual moment-to-moment gameplay of Halo I have previously enjoyed, and the story is sort of secondary to me running and, you know, punching a grunt in the face and throwing the plasma grenades and getting the sword and killing people with it. However, The Last of Us is the inverse of that, because
it's an interactive movie.
That's
for the
it.
most part.
The weakest part of The Last of Us games is the fact that they're games. Like, their stories are incredible, but no one's remembering the actual gameplay and being like, "Oh yeah, this is fucking great, this bit." You're really you're more invested in the cutscenes and what happens in between the gameplay chapters.
Yeah, well, it's in the same way that no one's really clamoring for like a Warzone TV show.
No, because what does that look like? It looks like Hurt Locker.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, the Call of Duty series had some like reasonably compelling like single player campaigns.
Well, the first two for sure.
Yeah,
really
but they're not making films.
No,
mostly because we've got plenty of war films.
Yeah. And actually, like that entire, this is perhaps another thing for me, is that anything that's like vaguely military-ish, anything that's like wanking off the army, I'm really not a fan of. And I feel like this is for people who like, oh, guns and grenades and bullets and armor and soldiers and all that. I'm just like, that's just not for me. That.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, it would be, maybe it would be interesting if it was like the start of the Spartan program, so you get to see how that develops and like see some like missteps rather than, oh, it's fairly well established, so, you know, we've just like, things happening out there, so we've smashed some Spartans out there and they've killed a lot of stuff and they've saved this one little girl, but like, yeah, we should probably kill her for some reason that I can't fully work out. Because it's such a weird, because like, don't get me wrong, I quite like the dystopian, like things are a bit weird, like we're going to make decisions that you're going to question. But they're questioning them. It's just, oh, it came down from up top, so we've got to do it. And it's just like, oh, I've heard some people try to use that argument before, and they didn't win.
Yeah.
So
No,
it is weird, and especially like watching this and being like, oh, they probably shouldn't bother making games into films or TV shows. And then immediately after I watched The Last of Us and went, they should make more things into. But that's the thing. If you take something like The Last of Us, or even like Life is Strange. Life is Strange might not work because I think your decisions kind of matter, but you can take these things that are so heavily invested in a story and go, well, we'll take out all the interactive stuff, and there you go, it's a film.
Yeah, and it does make me wonder what, like, because there's supposed to be a God of War series that's coming out, and actually, so now getting on to The Last of Us, and it's the sort of the age-old question that I had when I heard The Last of Us show was in development. My whole thing was, because I've played both of the games, and yeah, they're really, really good stories. I don't think they hit me quite as hard as some of the more rabid fans, but it's a brilliant story and it is really well told. And my whole thing was like, well, if you're making a TV show of it, that
who's
is
it for?
Just this is it. If it's just a direct lift of the story from the game into a TV show, I don't necessarily see the point in that. And then not even then, just before it came out, I was thinking about it and I saw a trailer or something, or I'd heard like a positive review, and it suddenly clicked that I knew who this was for. And I was like, oh, I get it. This is for my dad. Because my dad really, really likes apocalyptic stories, and we sort of, we bonded over like The Walking Dead and stuff like that. He will never, ever pick up a PlayStation controller and experience this story through that game. But now, he can just flick on his telly. He gets the same story, albeit like they are, slightly tweaked and that sort of thing. He by and large gets the same story, which is the strongest aspect of The Last of Us. And he's not got to understand the language of video games and the thousands of hours that we've put into understanding how games work for him to enjoy it. And I was like, okay, from that angle, now I kind of get it. And then I watched it, and it's fucking brilliant.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's weird because we're coming at it from two, like, we've got the same opinion where we're just like, this is amazing, I want to watch all of it ever.
But you've not played the games, have you?
But I haven't played the games. And so I still get to enjoy it, and I'm getting to experience, like, because I don't even know the story.
So you know literally nothing about The Last of Us? You don't know any of the beats at all? Or do you know, like, bits and pieces?
I mean, I know there's an apocalypse. And I know it's fungi based.
That's literally the only details you know about it.
Yeah, I didn't have PS3, but no, was this PS3 or PS4?
It was the very last tail end of the PS3 cycle.
Then I don't. I think it must have just been as I transferred. Basically, I went nope and PC.
Yeah. Do you know what? It would have been about that time because it was what.
So and then
the game came out, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've never really gone back to consoles. So until like last year, this wasn't even accessible for me without buying a console.
Might even have been early stages of this year for Last of Us.
It might also actually still not be out. So
I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure I saw adverts for it on what's it called? Epic. I think you can get it on that. Oh no! It's not out to the end of this month. Sorry.
Yeah, and it is coming out on Steam as well. So.
Oh, okay, cool.
That's where I'll be buying it.
Yeah. I mean, so here's an interesting thing. Will you carry on watching the TV show to get the story?
Yes.
Okay. Have you already finished it?
No, because they haven't finished releasing it yet. But I've only watched the first episode because I'm now being strict with myself. I'm not doing a Mrs. Maisel. I'm watching like 12 episodes or something. But yeah, it's so good. And the thing is, I've only ever heard people praise the story. I've never heard someone say, God, Last of Us is a bit much, isn't it? I've only ever heard people say that they like it.
You say that, and then the second one came out, and then there's a whole bunch of babies who started crying about a couple of things that happen in the second one, which I just...
Is it the rabbit thing? Because isn't there...
No, that's really funny, though.
There's so... It's because there's
I know the clip you're thinking of.
A stream clip that keeps going around where someone be like, oh my God, look at the little bunny. And then it just gets shot with an arrow and then they start crying.
Yeah.
And I think that's fucking brilliant.
I actually think that might... Is that from the first one? That might...
That's the thing.
Oh, no,
I'm not...
from the second one.
I'm not even that fussed about where it comes from. Like, I knew it was The Last of Us. And that's... My main interaction with it is seeing that clip. And then seeing people react to that clip, being like, ha 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 ha, oh my God.
I'll tell you what isn't in the game is the opening with the sort of, it's in the 60s and it's that talk show. Fucking incredible, that, by the way. Amazing.
Yeah. Is the opening like car chase?
Yeah, it opens on the night where it all goes to shit, and you start off playing as Sarah.
Oh, I see.
And then that obviously gets to its natural conclusion and is fucking
But that's the thing, that the build up to the outbreak is so much better in The Last of Us than it was in The Walking Dead. Because in The Walking Dead they kind of skipped it because Rick was in a coma.
Yeah.
But in this it's just is everything all right? Because I saw a lot of police cars, and then, oh, no, it's all fine. And then he comes home, and she's like, fix your watch. And it's like, oh, she's going to die. And then, yeah, and that deterioration is just so good. And I thought the episode was going to end with the, like, well... guess we fucked it. But then it just kept going until they leave Boston. Which is... I'm still impressed at how far from Texas they got, considering all the like army and the struggle that they had getting to where Sarah dies. And then he's just... so far away from Texas, which I get. His kid died. Like, you don't want to stay, but... And also, Pedro Pascal is fantastic and a beautiful man. I wish that the mountain hadn't crushed his face.
Do you know, it's funny, after all the stuff that he's done, I forgot that, like, one of the early things we saw him in was Game of Thrones. I mean, one of the really
it's like a nice little reunion, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose it is.
So I think also I've seen people, I think I've seen stuff on Twitter and stuff. I think Ashley Johnson's in this, and she was one of the voices for the games.
Yeah, she did the performance for Ellie in both the games. I didn't realise she was actually in the show, but that's quite cool.
I might also be wrong. So...
let's have a look. I'm going to quick look, see if I can see if she appears on...
I mean, she's not listed on the cast. So.
There's
wait. IMDb. Oh, I'm looking at the Halo cast, that's why.
Yes, she is in it, but I don't think she's in it until a bit later.
Yeah, that's the... I've seen stuff from like this week about it, and I was like, that's really cool. Oh, and Troy Baker's in it as well.
Yeah. And he's obviously Joel in the game.
With that, I think a really nice...
It's a nice little touch, isn't it? Just to be like, look...
We understand. Well, they were at the premiere. Like, they're all, like, stood next to each other at the premiere, and I was like... At least they're not... Like, I think they're very aware that, like, Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey are stepping into essentially someone else's role.
Yeah. Yeah, and to be completely fair, they both pick it up so brilliant. Like I think she really stole the show in Game of Thrones when she was just
she's
telling these
brilliant.
men just be like, fuck off, do what I fucking say.
And then in this,
amazing.
she plays a very different character who's telling everyone to fuck off. Which, what I thought I would find really jarring. I assumed that I would find it really weird seeing her do an American accent. It's fine.
No, absolutely fine. She's actually
turns out she's an actor.
She's really got Ellie's like sense of humor in the first one as well. Even in the early episode, we've only seen one. She's really fucking good at this.
I was just reading. Apparently, 105 actors were considered for Ellie.
Jesus, that's quite the list, isn't it? And imagine the names that would have been in that one.
Yeah. Well, they probably went, we'll get Ashley on it, and they went, man, she might be a bit old to play a 14-year-old.
I do wonder, like, because presumably this series is going to end where the first game ends, and then the second series is going to be the second game, I imagine. But there's some casting to be done, because there's another big character who doesn't come into the second game that I am intrigued as to who's going to play that character, because it really I don't want to say too much because I don't want to give away any of the story, because genuinely it's difficult to imagine The Last of Us without The Last of Us Part 2. They feel like two halves of the same story. So I really am intrigued to see where this goes. I think I probably will carry on watching this. And I keep hearing that the third episode, which is about a character called, I think his name is Bill, who you meet in the first game. But there's a story about his story is apparently they explore it a bit more in the third episode. And it's apparently, all I've seen is people like heartbroken about it. So.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's what I think is quite nice is that it feels like it's definitely got a cap on how many seasons they can do, unless they decide to keep going past the end of the second game.
But this is the thing, is that the way that the second game ends, I would be really surprised if there isn't a Last of Us Part 3. However,
you've got to do the game before you do the show.
But if it does end at Part 2, I still think it's a really compelling ending. It would make it like it kind of.
I mean, I don't know what the ending is, but I'm agreeing. I feel like they can wrap a story up without going aliens.
It's funny you say that, actually, because at the back of all of this is the first sort of outbreak thing. The opening of The Last of Us and the opening of The Stand are the same thing. It lifts the opening from particularly the book of The Stand. I think it is the first chapter of The Stand is just Joel getting him and his family out of out of it all going absolutely bonkers. And actually, Stephen King's been tweeting about this show and saying like how much he's been enjoying it. So that's got to be quite encouraging.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose, I guess the perk of doing this is that all you have to do is get it right. Like you're not worrying about like you've got the material, because I imagine also like the game's probably got too much material for, I don't know how many episodes a season are, 8, 10, something
9,
like that.
I think there's going to be 9 this season.
So there's more than 9 hours of gameplay, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
I was really looking to you for an answer there.
Yeah, no, so I didn't realise it was a question, but yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so they've got all the source material there. All they need to do is sort of condense that down a bit, but not too much. And I imagine there'll probably be stuff that they cut out that's more in the game for the game rather than to further the story.
Yeah, like there's a lot less running through houses and picking up shit to make Molotovs. You know?
Yeah. So there'll be a lot less of the gamification side of it, which they can fill with either exploring. Because I imagine also they might get an actor in and they just go, oh, fuck, he was good at that. We want to, like, we'll just add a bit more with him or her to, that
is, I think, entirely what's happened. So, like this thing with Bill, you know, Bill's story, it's not, you know, you get a sense of it in the game, but, you know, it's not like an hour-long exploration of his character and all that sort of thing. So I'm really, really intrigued to see what that episode looks like.
Yeah, but I think all you really have to do with this is make sure that you get the story beats right. Don't try to make it too... Like, don't go to Pedro Pascal and go, like, here's Troy Baker, do that. And be true, but, like, separate to the game. And then you'll probably still get a large amount of hate from people who love the game. But I don't think this is necessarily for people who love the game. I think, as you said, it's for people who
don't play games,
might not play it. Or like me, who haven't had the chance to play it until later this year.
Do you know, that is something that's very intriguing about The Last of Us, is there is a massive, well, maybe not massive, but there is a very, very vocal part of its audience who are very, very homophobic, which is very strange considering that it's always had queer stories in it. Particularly in reference to the second game. I think there was a lot of backlash to certain relationships in the game, which it's just I
think I've seen that. I think I saw it when Last of Us 2 came out. So I saw a lot of people just being like, "Fuck off,"
which is mad. Like, what?
Yeah.
Why is that the thing to get? Anyway. But yeah, I think I will carry on. I wasn't sure about it, so then when I watched it, I was like, oh, actually, this is really rather good.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like it. I mean, I don't know if you are aware, but this was planned for much later in the year. And then I was talking to a couple of people, and they were like, it's really fucking good. I was like, okay, cool. And just bumped it way up the list. And because it's weird, because it's almost topical. Like, this is as close to topical as we really get.
Yeah. And even then, it will have finished by the time this episode comes out.
Oh, yeah.
I like they kept the score the same as well. That's the thing, because I loved the score, the guitar score on...
Money saving. That's what it is. And also, like...
they fucking swindled us.
If you make a good score once, don't do it again.
Yeah.
Looking at you, Star Wars opening theme.
I know you're saying opening theme. I know what you really mean is Across the Stars, the love theme from episode 2.
No, I'm just thinking about sand.
Right.
And the Game of Thrones theme. Like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Oh, yeah. How's the Dragon, I suppose?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they did bait us into thinking there was going to be no opening theme music, and then episode 2 came on and it was like, oh, fuck yeah.
What are we doing next? What's the next one up?
Oh, we're doing something for you. Frankenstein Chronicles.
Mm-hmm.
Might be something for you. Probably isn't. I think Sean Bean makes it to season 2, so spoilers.
I don't want to watch it then.
I know, it's disappointing. Like, I think he was really happy to have survived. And the fades. So I think this is a bit stuff that's maybe meant to be a bit of you, but also fuck knows what it is.
I haven't got a clue what this is. British supernatural drama created by Jack Thorne. Jack Thorne, I know that name. What else has Jack Thorne done?
That is a good question. One that the internet can answer for you.
I genuinely might know the name because I think my aunt knows this guy.
Ah, cool.
So that's cool. Might be wrong. Yeah, no, genuinely, I think my aunt knows this guy. I think I might have been pointed his way a little while ago for like some film work or something. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, well, yeah, I'm interested to see what the Fades is all about and the Frankenstein Chronicles.
Yeah, well, I think one of them might be about Dr. Frankenstein.
Oh, one of them. The majority of the location filming took place in South Oxley, don't know. Oxley, don't know. Watford, Hemel Hempstead, know a little bit. Hatfield, I used to live around there, so I know that very well.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, well, that's
interesting.
That's coming out in a couple of weeks' time.
Cool. Well, look forward to that one and watch The Last of Us because that's what we're going to be doing.
Oh, fuck yeah. And watch Trainspotting.